Hi, I'm Roger Peterson. Welcome back to Pro 423. Well, we're working on recovering our healthy heart. We're taking a look at that very first step of owning our stuff. Those first 2 points that we made in the first two videos are huge. Focus on those, understand those clearly, because those definitely get us off on the right step. But I want to make 4 more short points to help us sort of get the whole picture before we move on to the second step, okay? The first one is this, that owning our stuff doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect from here on out. It doesn't mean you can't make a mistake. I mean, it's still wrong, right? But you can't aim at perfection. You can't think by owning it means you're never going to get it wrong again. No. Owning your stuff means 2 things. First of all, completely owning the responsibility for it when you do it. No more excuses. No more blaming somebody else. Own it 100% of the time. And second of all, you own the responsibility to get to a place in your heart, in health, and with God to where you're not doing it again. That's what owning your stuff means. It means making it a priority, putting it on the front burner of your mind and of your heart, and you're going to focus on this thing and you're going to work on it until something changes in the right direction. That's what owning your stuff means. Doesn't mean you can't make mistakes, because we all will. But it means that we own the responsibility for doing it wrong, and we own the responsibility for moving forward and getting better. Okay? 2, I want to encourage you, as these things come to mind, your dysfunctions, I want to encourage you just to focus on one at a time. If you try to do more than one at a time, it just gets too complicated as we move through the rest of these steps. But I promise you this, as you work on one, you'll be making it easier to work on the rest of them. So, just one at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't get in too big of a hurry. Number 3, speaking of don't get in too big of a hurry, I just want to encourage you to realize we're talking about heart change. We're talking about shifting some very, very deep things in our heart. And that's not going to take a couple of hours or a couple of weeks. It's going to take several months to several years. I know that's discouraging, but we just have to count the cost, and we need to understand, especially at my age, when I was 45, I'm 56 now. When I was 45, it was the first time I started looking at this stuff. So think about it. I was behaving in dysfunctional ways for 20, 30, 40 years. It was pretty well cemented. It was difficult to change those things. But I got a couple good pieces of advice. First of all, Swindoll, of course, said, it's never too late to start doing the right thing. But the last thing, I want to close with my 4th point here. Getting started, and even just owning your stuff and admitting to yourself that you have these struggles, I think what you're going to find is what I found. From the very, very beginning, it became strangely refreshing. My wife made up that phrase, and I love it. It fits so well. As you start being honest with those deep, deep flaws, as you start to let them come to the surface and sort of expose them at first just to yourself, I think you're going to find it strangely refreshing. And that's God saying, you're on the right path.